Okay, so let's recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, the victorious, and the totally self-enlightened one. Okay. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to start with mindfulness of talking. So this is a very interesting theme that we didn't have enough time to talk about last time. So today we are going to talk a little bit about this according to the other Utejaniya teach us how to do this. So talking meditation. What can we be aware of while talking to others? How to practice talking meditation? Now, actually, it is the same as any other activities. We need to be aware of what is going on in our body and in our mind. But because when we talk to others, there are many things happening in the same time because there is an interaction. We have to know what we are saying. We have to know what the other person is saying. So there's a lot going on at that time. So it will take some practice for us to become skillful. So let's take a look of how we can do this. In the beginning, it is actually quite easy to get lost, but it is actually a very, very interesting practice when we become skillful because we can learn a lot about the mind through talking meditation. So when we first start practicing, what we can do is we can try to anchor the mindfulness in something that is easy to know. For example, the body posture or some kind of bodily sensation, or even focused on the breath. So we have some kind of base object that we can always come back to and check whether the mind is still being aware or not. So you can choose anything that is easy for you and have that as a base object in the beginning. So it can be the breath, can be some kind of sensation in the body. And then when we start to talk or when we listen, it is important that we try to put more attention inwards to what is going on in our body and mind and avoid getting caught up in the story or the conversation. It is also important to be aware of the emotions that arise from the conversation. And then whenever we realize that there is some kind of emotions going on or some kinds of mental feeling also going on, then we need to step back and don't get caught up into the emotion. Because if we are very involved into the emotion, the observation becomes very difficult and mindfulness can get lost very easily. So we can go back to our base object and then we can have a pause and we can listen and try to observe those kinds of emotions that arise. And then we can also check what are the attitudes while we are listening or speaking. Are we being positive? Are we receptive? Or are we reserved or closed? So these are also something that we can check. And so actually, while having a conversation with another person, there are a lot of things that we can be aware of. So let's see what we can be aware of. As we said in the beginning, we can keep knowing the body sensation or bodily posture while observing whether there is an urge to talk or not. This is actually a very important point because when we are very eager to say what we want to say, as the other Utejaniya said that this is the biggest trap. It is a type of greed, and with that defilement being so strong, mindfulness is usually being thrown out of the window. So this urge is something that we can pay attention to. Or when the other person is talking, are we listening or am I thinking of what am I going to say next? And then we can also pay attention to our mental feeling. Whether the mind is feeling pleasant at the moment, unpleasant, or neutral. Is there any kind of emotion? Is the mind happy, calm? Is it angry or getting impatient, etc.? All these things we can know. And also, we can take a look at the intention behind the words. Why are we saying this? What is the real intention behind these words? What do I want to show to the other person with these words? Is there any defilements involved in this intention or in these words that I'm saying? And what is the mind thinking? We can also know the thoughts, no? And whether there is any judgments towards the other person or what the other person is saying or towards what we are discussing, and whether there is a lot of self in our speech. And also, we can also take a look whether there is attachment to views also. So you see, there is a lot of things that we can actually be aware of. And Theodore Utejanian says that, I quote, "Think and know what you want to say before you say it. When you acknowledge to yourself first to what you feel and think before you speak, you are giving yourself time to know yourself. Try this over and over again." He also talks about the percentage of attention that we put internally and externally while we are talking. We usually get lost because we are putting 100% of our attention externally towards the other person or towards what we are talking about. And then we have zero attention towards how we are feeling, any kinds of body sensation or mental feeling, or what is our thoughts. Usually, it is like a habit that we talk in this way. Putting our attention 100% out there, then there will be no chance for mindfulness. So what we can do is we need to keep some percentage inside also. So some attention internally also. But if we put 100% internal, then the interaction might become a little bit unnatural. So we need to try to practice and find a balance. In Shweomi Meditation Center in Yangon, they'll give yogis some time for talking meditations. Many yogis, they are trying to practice with each other because talking is such a important or inevitable part of our daily life. So if we can learn how to talk mindfully, it will be very helpful for our practice during daily life. So I actually have this experience. It's very funny. I was in the very beginning when I was trying, so I was putting a lot of attention internally. I really know what's going on here, but at some point when I was looking at the other person looks like this. And I didn't know what the person was saying. I couldn't understand what he was saying because I wasn't putting much attention on what he was saying, but I was putting a lot of attention inward. So that also doesn't work. We have to find the balance. We have to try. Some yogis feel like we are doing two jobs at the same time. We are observing and we are talking. So it's kind of a little busy. It's like difficult to handle. But with time, we'll become more and more skillful. Then we'll be able to talk very naturally and at the same time also know what is happening in here. So maybe we can try 60, 40, 70, 30. And so we have to try out and see what percentage works and then keep working on that and try to put more attention inwards more than externally. When we are able to do this, this is actually a very effective way of communicating. When we know ourselves, we are less likely to react negatively, and we will have more space to apply clear comprehension, the clear comprehension that we saw last week, to know whether what we are going to say is beneficial or not, whether it is suitable or not. And we are staying in the domain of meditators, Gochara Sampajanya. So we're staying with the four foundations of mindfulness. And we may even realize that there is actually no one talking. It's only phenomena happening, only mind and matter acting together, performing the talking action. So it is also possible. So one time, when we asked Sayadaw Tejaniya, how about you, teacher? Sayadaw, how much percentage do you put? And then he said that for him, he will put 70% inside and only 30% outside. So Sayadaw, he reminds Yogi, I'll call again, he said, when you speak, know that you are speaking. Notice whatever part of the speaking experience is most obvious to you. And when you listen, do the same. Know that you are listening. He said it is just that. So the knowing is the important part. So it might be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but it is good to know that it is possible, and we can try this in our daily life and make it like a challenge for our daily practice. It will become more and more natural. when we become more skillful, and we will be able to know and be aware of the mind, the body, and the speech at the same time. So it's just very briefly, but this is the way how we can practice and what we can observe during talking and listening. So I see Edith has a question here. Yes?
Can you give us an example what it means to not be lost in the story?
Mm. So to be lost in the story means that we forget about ourselves already. We are very much involved in the story or in the conversation, and then we do not know what is the mind thinking, and we don't know any body sensations anymore, and we don't know that we are speaking or listening. That like mindfulness is lost.
Okay, thank you.
So if we know something of ultimate reality, if we know that talking is happening, or if we know that listening is happening, awareness is there. So we are staying with something real. Ear consciousness is working, or speech is happening, there is sound. So if we have something that is related to the ultimate reality and we're knowing it, it is less easy for us to get totally lost. Hey, anyone else have any questions or any comments concerning mindfulness while talking and listening? Everyone okay? Actually, you can try now. When you listened, you can see how many percent of attention are you putting to my words, and how many percent of attention do you have within yourself. Do you know anything about yourself at this moment? Yes? Can you know your body sensation? Yes, that's good. Can you know sound? Can you know sound? Can you know that hearing is happening? Yes. Can you know your touching sensation if you are sitting? Yes, that's good. And so it's things easy like this. Can you feel the difference? Before I ask you, do you know anything about yourself at all? Before I ask you. Maybe not, or maybe yes. So can you feel the difference now? Yeah. So it's just that simple. We just have to remember to do it. Now you know the difference of what is putting 100% of attention outside and what is keeping some attention inside. Now, while you knowing something within yourself, it can be your thoughts, it can be your body sensation or your breath, whatever it may be. Do you still understand what I'm talking about? What I'm saying? Do you still understand? Yeah. So it is possible. It is possible. So it doesn't mean that we have to pay 100% attention outside in order to understand what's going on. No, it usually does not require that much of attention. So we can use some part of attention and put it inwards, and then we can learn something about ourselves. Yes, Maxwell?
I have a question about external percentage.
Mhm.
And what about like atmospheric situations? So if you're talking to somebody and then there's a noise in the room or something, would you still want to have that in your awareness or um, just
Mm,
focusing on the conversation?
mm. This is an interesting question. Actually, what the mind can know, we don't actually need to choose that much. Whatever the mind can know naturally, just let it be. So because I cannot say that I will put 50% to the conversation, external, and then 50% to internal, and then all other things I shut down or shut out. It's not possible. If I hear the door, then I did hear it already. So the attention already went there, right? So if I hear that, then that is part of it. We know that that's also sound. That's okay too. So whatever the mind can know, just be open, and the mind just know that it is there. If it is not important, then we can just what the mind knew, and that's it. And then we continue with the conversation, knowing inside, knowing outside. If it is something important, then we may have to take care of it. So whatever the mind can know, just let it be, and try to learn something about that. Maybe the mind can have a thought that oh, we're having a conversation here, like someone is just being so noisy, like why is this happening or whatever. So the mind is getting reacting towards some other thing. Then that's also interesting, right? Because then we learn something about the mind, what is going on in there with the conversation and with the environment or whatever it may be.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Maybe this week we can try. I am quite sure that we all will have some opportunities to talk and to listen during the week. So maybe when you remember, try this practice. And if you do have any question next week with your practice, then we can talk more about it next week. Okay?